Okay, we're going to do herbs and other supplements because we didn't get to this in class. For herbal supplement objectives, we're going to discuss why people choose herbal products over traditional medicine, discuss the federal legislation governing herbal and dietary products, discuss the safety of herbal and nutritional products, and explain the adverse effects associated with their use and their impact on oral health, and explain the drug interactions associated with herbal products and their impact on oral health. Discuss the herbal supplements used in oral health care. Okay, why herbal or alternative treatments? It's becoming more and more popular. There's more and more people who are open to using sort of a non-traditional medicine or pharmaceutical, either an herbal medicine, or there's different supplements, amino acids, and different things that people are using. There's Chinese medicine, there's Ayurvedic medicine, and a lot of that is has come here. So it's a lot more common in Western medicine. Um, a lot of these things are available without a prescription. Sometimes people will go to a naturopath or to a chiropractor, and they'll have certain brands that you can't easily get, like if you go to Whole Foods or Fred Meyer, and they'll have, maybe special access to certain products, but they're still essentially usually over the counter. It eliminates a lot of cost for people because they can either sort of choose to research something and then find something over the counter that works for them, or they can go to a naturopathic doctor, chiropractor, something like that, and it might cost them less if they're achieving whatever goal it is that they want. Um, Sometimes, again, like I said, cultural influences, there's a lot of alternative or herbal medicine in Chinese medicine and Ayurvedic medicine. It gives people a sense of control. They can look things up or talk to people in their circles of, that maybe share like-minded thoughts. There's a lot now, a lot of podcasts and doctors and naturopaths and functional medicine doctors, and then just influencers, health coaches and people that maybe don't necessarily have any traditional medical training, but there's a lot out there. And so, of course, people have to be careful because um, there's always good information and bad information. So you have to be careful. But people kind of like having that ability to kind of decide what they need for their health or kind of advocate for themselves. There's a lot of people out there who have been hurt by the medical community. They distrust the motives or the system itself. Maybe they feel like it's rushed, or they can't get help, or they don't really take them seriously or listen to them. And a lot of times that can lead people to not want to seek traditional care. It could be, purely just financial as well. They might not have health insurance, and so they just have to go a different route. So there's lots of different reasons people choose to go with herbal medicine or supplementations. So herbal medicine is also called botanical medicine, phytomedicine. It refers to the use of plants, seeds, berries, roots, leaves, bark. Remember, aspirin is originally from a bark. So, a lot of medications and flowers for medicinal purposes. So, a lot of medicines in traditional pharmacology originated from herbal medicine, basically. Patients do not always report supplement use, and this can be a problem because just because somebody thinks, oh, it's over the counter, does not mean that it doesn't come with side effects or even toxic effects. Manufacturers cannot make claims about curing conditions. So that's something really important to understand about labeling and herbal medicine. They cannot say this medication lowers blood pressure. They can say this this bottle of whatever it is supports cardiovascular health. Like they can say something general, but they cannot make a curing claim. Um, Herbal products are regulated by the Dietary Supplement Health and Education Act, DSHEA. These are highlighted because these are things you might be asked on an exam. So for labeling, labeling prevents the use of therapeutic claims on the label. They have rules and regulations around that. Products cannot have labels such as for the treatment of hypertension, like lowers blood pressure. Like it can't make a specific claim. Labels can contain claims of effects on the structure or functioning of the body. A natural product could say something like, improves immunity or increases immunity or for immune function, things like that. May not be necessarily scientific, but it cannot be false or misleading. So, when we think of things as being specifically scientific, we think, oh, it went through clinical trials, they've done all this research, they have all this data, and they might not have that same type of database for something, but they still are not allowed to make blatantly false, misleading claims. There's got to be some kind of understanding about the way something functions. And they might have other kinds of data, not maybe, like clinical trials, but they might have other kinds of data that they've accumulated. Why might there be no clinical trials to support a natural therapeutic claim? Well, you might ask yourself that question. And the main reason is financial. Clinical trials are expensive to run, and though they are typically considered the gold standard, in the end, they have a product that they can sell for an exorbitant amount of money. If you do a clinical trial to prove that cranberries are good for oral health, you're going to end up with a product that people could grow in their backyard and figure out a way to make a product that, a cranberry toothpaste or cranberry mouthwash. But so if they spend all this money on a clinical trial, it's not going to benefit their business model. And so that's why we find such a lack of herbal medicines and things like that that really do have efficacy, but it's not promoted in mainstream medicine because there's not a major financial benefit behind it. So what's required on the label is this product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease. They have to write that on their label. For safety, consumers often think natural is safe, non-toxic, or free of side effects, and this is not necessarily true. Many supplements and herbs, if taken in excess and taken, some people might be sensitive to it, can cause side effects or be toxic. Herbal supplements can still have pharmacological effects. They are technically really still a drug. Side effects and drug interactions can also take place. Treat herbal products as drugs because really they basically are. So for quality of these supplements and herbs, there's standardization is a process that identifies one or more active ingredients. So they take the flavonoid or whatever it is in that thing that is really the potent thing that causes the health benefit, and they try to standardize it and get the same amount of potency and active ingredient in across the board. Now, some companies are going to be better than others, and so you really want to know your brands and their practices. But they want to make sure all batches of herbs produced by a single manufacturer contain the same amount of active ingredient specified on the label. So it really is important to get your supplements from a high quality company that cares about their manufacturing practices and standardization. Good manufacturing practices standards were introduced by the FDA in 2003 to ensure that dietary supplements are devoid of adulterants, contaminants, and impurities. So again, another reason to know the company that you're buying your supplements from. United States Pharmacopoeia Convention conducts testing and has a seal of approval. So sometimes it's nice to have third-party seal of approvals. So oral adverse effects, some examples from some supplements and herbs out there. St. John's wort is fairly common. It has quite a bit of efficacy. There's been trials that have showed just as much statistical evidence that St. John's wort works with depression as SSRIs. There's been a lot of actual data put out on this particular herb. But it can cause xerostomia, and it can interact with other drugs. So this is actually very potent. It's very easy to get it over the counter in the health food section, but people do have to be careful with a lot of these, but St. John's wort's is one of them. Feverfew can has been known to cause oral ulcers, lip irritation, swelling, and gingival bleeding. Ginkgo biloba can also affect bleeding. Echinacea can cause some tongue numbness. Taste change, kava kava or kava can cause oral and lingual dyskinesia. And for drug interactions, major concern is the increased risk of toxicity and the reduced therapeutic effect. So if there is some kind of an enzyme interaction, or if proteins are bound up, the risk is that if somebody takes, say, one drug with an herb, maybe that herb would take up receptor space or be bound up with the protein, and there'd be more that would change the amount of the prescribed drug that's in the patient's system. So that's usually the big concern that people would have about not really knowing how an herb or a supplement is going to affect some medication that they're taking. The most common negative result of interactions between traditional drugs and used in dentistry and herbs is bleeding. So I star that, highlight that. That's a question that you want to know for an exam. But the number one thing that people are kind of concerned about when it comes to anything that's done in dentistry is that some herbs and supplements can increase bleeding. So here's a few. We have the herb cranberry. I think this says drug interaction. Drugs. Okay, yeah. So it can interact with opioid analgesics, antidepressants, and some antibiotics and potentially increase their excretion. So the patient might go through these faster if they're taking a large dose of cranberry. You don't have to memorize all of these. There's obviously a ton, but look at the sort of major things that they can interact with. So golden seal, hawthorn, melatonin, nettle root, passion flower, valerian root. Valerian is very sedating. Passion flower is very sedating. Hawthorn is actually very sedating. Well, we know melatonin, people take it for sleep. I didn't know about these two, but apparently that's probably um, it can be the sedative, the cardiovascular effect, or maybe the sedative effect. I'm not sure about those specifically. But if taken with benzodiazepines, barbiturates, or anything that suppresses the CN, depresses the central nervous system, opioids, it has the potential to drop somebody's blood pressure even lower. All of these here, a long list of them, all there's a concern of increased bleeding, especially if someone's on NSAIDs or the Plavix or platelet, aspirin, warfarin, any of these things that can increase bleeding. So cranberry, chamomile, fenugreek, red clover, flaxseed, evening primrose, garlic is a big one. Garlic can affect bleeding quite a bit. Ginger, ginseng, ginkgo, feverfew, meadowsweet, horse chestnut, kava, licorice, oil of cloves, and turmeric. So the long list, and that's probably not all of them. There's probably many more. For St. John's wort, this one has quite a drug interaction, induces the cytochrome P450 isoen. So these are all enzymes, isoenzymes, and these enzymes here, and there's a lot of drug interaction. So if someone's taking St. John's wort and they want to start a different medication or they're going into the hospital, usually there's some counseling and discussion that goes on. Advise the patient to enhance sedation with central nervous system depressants, increases potential for photosensitivity when used with tetracycline. Advise patients to use sunblock and stay out of the sun. Increase use of serotonin syndrome if used with tramadol or meperidine. So serotonin syndrome is when levels of serotonin I think it's when it gets really high. I think that's what serotonin syndrome is, but I could be wrong. Um, so oral health impacts of some herbs, St. John's wort, this herb can speed up the breakdown of certain drugs in the body, reducing their effectiveness. Ginkgo can increase bleeding. Kava increases sedation. It's very calming drug. Long term, it can be hard or toxic on the liver. Garlic and ginger have a thinning property, and valerian root again is very sedating, so increases sedative effects, especially if it's combined with um, other drugs. Herbal supplements used in oral health care. We have Acemannan hydrogel. It's an extract of aloe vera and has immunomodulating properties, shortens the healing of aphthous ulcers. So it's would be soothing and helps heal aphthous ulcers. We have essential oils in many mouthwashes. They have a bacteriostatic effect on different pathogens in the mouth. So Listerine, and then there's other mouthwashes and some toothpastes, and we'll use essential oils also. Oil of clove or eugenol. This has been used in dentistry for decades. It has a topical sort of numbing or analgesic effect. Triclosan significantly reduces plaque and gingivitis. They put that in toothpaste. And then xylitol cannot be metabolized by S-mutan, so it starves the S-mutan. So it has that anti-carcinogenic effect because the S-mutans can't metabolize it, and so they go hungry and die. Reduces, and it makes them less sticky too. Reduces S-mutans levels, yielding antibacterial and karyostatic effects. Inhibits the ability of microbes to adhere, so it slows that biofilm buildup. Micronutrients are also very important in oral health. We have vitamin C is crucial for collagen synthesis, crucial for gum health, playing an important role in collagen synthesis, which is essential for the integrity of our gums, periodontal support system. Vitamin C deficiency can lead to gum inflammation and bleeding, and of course affect the collagen production. And they say that you know, obviously we don't see scurvy very often and things like that, but they say there's still a large amount of the population that can um, have very low levels of vitamin C, need and be needing a supplement or just to eat more fresh fruits and vegetables. Vitamin D is essential for calcium absorption, maintaining strong teeth and bones. A deficiency in vitamin D can cause weakened teeth, increased risk of cavities and decay. Vitamin K is important to take alongside vitamin D because it helps regulate the calcium in the body and direct it to the teeth and bones. And so the calcium doesn't end up like in a carotid artery. Zinc is important in periodontal health as a role in enamel formation and biofilm prevention. Deficiencies can lead to many oral conditions such as angular cheilitis. We all know vitamin B plays a large role in oral health, supporting saliva production, gingival health, boosting immune function, and deficiency can lead to mouth sores. So that's it for this fairly short um, PowerPoint on herbs and supplements and oral health.